5 years ago when I ordained, it was Father Malachi Clark, and I ordained him on August 15th of 2020. And I remember just being in awe of that particular celebration. And but you know, 5 years later, it still fills me with awe. It's still exciting. And yeah, if I had to say what surprises me most in 5 years is how many times I've ordained both priests and deacons. Actually, this weekend, Father Pavel Zimny and Father Ben Schrantz will be like the 7th and 8th priest I've ordained since I've come here. So that I think surprises me most sometimes, how often I've ordained priests, but also deacons. For me, the most moving part of the ordination mass is what we call the laying on of hands, the imposition of hands by the bishop as he invokes the Holy Spirit. And that's the actual ordination followed by the consecratory prayer. But for me, that's the most special part of the ordination. Well, 35 years ago, I remember three things in particular. I remember, first of all, that we had members of the lay faithful testify on our behalf about our worthiness for ordination. And the person who testified for me was Sister Debbie Blow, a Dominican Sister of Hope. And what was really also interesting for me is that her younger brother and I were high school classmates. And so it was just, I thought it was just a very powerful moment when she would testify on my behalf regarding ordination. And then the second thing I remember about that day was the bishop's homily. The bishop's homily was all on the sacrament of penance and the importance of the sacrament of penance. And he called myself and Father Dirk Schutte, who was ordained with me, he called us to be ambassadors of reconciliation and to be faithful ministers of that sacrament. And so that has stuck with me all these years. And then the third part for me was actually the imposition of hands. And again, God has a great sense of humor, but just as the bishop was imposing hands, it was a beautiful day, so the doors of the cathedral were open. So as the bishop was laying hands on my head, all of a sudden you heard the cathedral bells ringing out the noon angelus and pealing away. And so that's what I remember about that day.